I believe we're here, 8 o'clock. Let's see. There's no feedback. I can't tell if I'm on or not. Yes, I think we are. Good morning. Yep, it's up. Finally, I believe on the okay print. Not so many print parties today. Shop might be busy, but there's good staff here. Not so many parties, so I should be able to get through this today. Microphone. Yes, thanks. I gotta make my pilot's checklist. God. All right. Test. 1, 2, 3. He's probably not wearing it again. My God, am I that predictable? Do we need a microphone test? 1, 2, 3. I think I'm up. Microphone's on my chest. It's plugged in. If it's still not coming through, then I'll say something, but I think it's okay now. Not saying anything. Am I supposed to talk continuously? I don't think so. In case there's people here who don't know what's going on here after 3 days of doing this, the print I'm working on right now is not the octopus. That's still happening, but it's put aside just for a couple of days. The print on the desk here is the December print, one of the December prints in the current Yokai subscription series. Our young carver who's been working on the set has been reassigned this month. He's working on boss number 1 because the Kickstarter campaign is coming up any minute now. So I'm stepping in to do this December Yokai print in his place. I'm doing the key block for it. Just the key block. The other work will be done by our young carver in Kobe, Kawasaki-san. I really want to introduce her properly, show some video, but she won't let me. She doesn't want to do that stuff. She wants to be private. She's afraid of the big bad internet. Here behind the hoof. I nearly missed that on yesterday's work. What have we got here? Oh, Jed's on this morning. Morning, sir. Secrets. What's secret, what's not? I don't know. Who knows? I've always had the idea that I'd like the people to see the prints when they receive them in the package, you know, see them in the post as a sort of surprise, but it's just not really possible, you know. When we're streaming the production, when we have to keep a social media presence, we have to keep information out there. It's almost impossible to keep each print design a secret, so. Jidsan, last night I was showing the people on the other stream, the European time zone stream that I did last night. I showed them the photobomb image you prepared. So. Where am I? I get lost here so easily. Mic is crackling. The mic here, I've got it in a normal situation, same as always. It's on my chest, I'm not touching it. Mic is crackling. It's plugged in carefully. Testing 1, 2. If I sit still, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Give me a hint about what I should do here. Try toggling on off. It's only when you're talking. Mic level, it's the same as it always is. What have I got? Filter, there's just a noise suppression on it. No, I haven't touched the gain, still crackling. Well, let me turn it down a bit. Okay, we're dropping the gain here. Down, 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 down. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Plugging, unplugging. Okay, let's try it. Mic was just unplugged and replugged. Testing 1, 2, 3. Still crackling. I know, unbearably crackling. We should cancel this, or they say it's bearable, so I should put the gain back up a little bit or not. I don't know. When I try this myself, you know, I use this mic for recording our videos and stuff, and I've never had the tiniest bit of trouble with it. Try talking without it on your shirt. Okay, I'll put it down on the bench here just a sec. Mic is on the bench. Oh, actually, I better not put it on the bench. It's going to pick up block noise. Just a sec. Up on the... Okay, no touch. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's leave it like that and let me know. Sorry again, excuse me. What's in here? Something in the question box from some dude called Jed Henry. He's letting me know the mic is crackling. Thanks, Jed. Well, I don't know if that now means it's still crackling or whatever. Just about okay. There is actually something else I can try. There's the camera itself is here. I can unplug the mic from my USB audio interface, plug it into the camera. So I'm using the same mic but a different. Hang on a sec here. We'll go silent for a moment. Unplugging the mic. Alright, testing again. The mic is unplugged from the USB interface. It's plugged into the camera. The audio from the camera is turned up. So it's the same mic going through a different source. Give me a hint. Clean now. Win. Goodbye to the Roland Edirol interface. Okay guys, thank you. What about the level? Lower volume. Okay, just a minute. I can boost it here. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Geez, I hate doing this online, I'm sorry. Camera audio for the win. Sorry about this, guys. There's no way to test this sort of thing locally. Maybe turn the volume up. It's at max here. The gain is now at max. I can't do anything more with the gain here. Oh, I could move the mic closer back onto my chest. Okay. Here we go. Now it might be too loud. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Here we go, here we go. Alright, I'll leave it alone. Thank you guys. Guys, I keep saying guys. Thank you, people. Everybody, thank you everybody. Is that the way we should use this? Stop saying guys. couple of questions here. One, Kyosai. How does it feel to carve Kyosai? Do his lines feel different than Hokusai? Yes and no. We had this joke before, I think, talking about something similar when I was doing a Kyosai print a while back, or looking at a Kyosai print, and I made this smart-ass comment that when Kyosai was drawing this one, he really had taken his Hokusai pills that day, because it had the same frenetic energy, short, stabby strokes, no single smooth lines, jerky, 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 energetic, you know. And it wasn't fair to the guy, because that's his own style as well. It's not like Hokusai has a patent on that kind of stuff. But yeah, clearly their styles overlap. But Jed's question here, we've talked about this a number of times already in these streams, you know. Yeah, the carving style is quite different. When I did the Poet series, 10 years I spent carving lines drawn by a designer who was clearly an elegant, sophisticated guy, probably quite quiet. The lines were smooth, tasteful, never any energy. Kind of boring maybe, I don't know, whatever. It was just his style. And then when I got out of that after 10 years, and the first print I did after the 10 years was over was a Hokusai design. I knew it. I just had to get into a different world. I think I've said before, it's slightly an exaggeration. When you're carving a Hokusai print, you try and become like a Hokusai. When you're carving a Harunobu print, you settle down. Obviously an exaggeration, yeah. But so his next question is, what do I do when I'm carving one of those Jed Henry prints, you know? Jed's style is mixed still. I don't know, he very much studies. Can I talk about Jed when he's still here watching? I guess that's the safest way. Jed studies some of the Meiji people. Yoshitoshi, maybe Kuniyoshi, I don't really know exactly which particular people he's always studying. And it shows, you know. And that's not any kind of insult or whatever. Young guys, when they went into a workshop in the old days, they just simply copied the master's work again and again and again. There was no question of individuality. Then over the years, as they've developed brush skill, their own character, and as they got older, of course, and more mature, their own character came out. And Jed's in the middle of that. He's in his 30s. He's partway along studying other people's work and his own eventual personal style. Isn't that right, Jed? Oh, I've got a mic cable on the desk in front of me here. There's a question here in the stream, it seems, am I getting this right? The idea about doing a one-off print with Jed. Yeah, yeah. So Jed has tons of designs, of course, endless stream of designs. He's not just a one-trick pony doing ukiyo-e heroes. He's got art coming out of the guy's pores all the time. And very much we'd like to be able to do more. I'm not sure how Jed's going to answer this. I guess he's frustrated because we don't have the production capability to just keep going and make anything and throw resources at stuff without wanting to make an excuse. At the moment here, the resources we have at this end here in Japan are stretched to the limit. Absolutely stretched to the limit with the work we're doing, both Jed's heroes and some stuff we have by ourselves, the Doi Hunger project, and just keeping our own things going. So we just don't have the resources to explore other things. Jed's got some wonderful prints, the cat sushi kind of prints that he's done. I don't know if you've seen on his website. He can link them for you. There's all kinds of stuff that we know would be acceptable to the market, would be interesting. People would buy it. Maybe not in vast quantities like they do the Heroes prints, but it would be marketable. We would love to make more of Jed's stuff, develop it. But I just don't have the resources. It's really frustrating for him, I'm sure. He's still young. I'm still reasonably young, with lots of time. There's 4 carvers now here at this end. We're in trouble for printers, but just give us a bit more time. We can get some more people on board. I hear the question again. Oh, 2 in the box here. The Imperial poetry recitation. Yeah, how can I do this? We were telling a story last night. Somebody asked about the cultural appropriation thing. I really don't want to start all over again, that long discussion. But different places in the world now, there are strong feelings about people from one culture dabbling in stuff from another culture. Can we say that? So apparently the question came from America last night, and in America it's no touch. Somebody from one culture doing things with another culture. So the question is, am I okay here in Japan? What do the Japanese people think about me working with traditional printmaking? Is it appropriation? Are there people angry about it? People think I shouldn't do it? What's the story? And again, without telling the whole story all over again, the answer is it's not a problem here. This is many factors. The Japanese themselves have always been, well, look at their culture. It's gone all over the world. We know this. When the Japanese woodblock prints went out to the West, they transformed the art of the West. There's no appropriation here in the West involved with Japanese printmaking. It's gone the other way around. Japanese prints changed the world. So the fact that a Western dude is sitting here doing this now is not a problem for them. So we're telling the story last night, and as an example, to sort of make people, or whatever, show people that what the general mood is here in Japan. I did that poet series for 10 years, making prints about Japanese, very eclectic poetry that modern Japanese can't even read. I'd spent 10 years making a series of prints about it. And just as I was approaching it in the last 2 or 3 prints, I don't remember exactly the timing, but right at the end of the series, I got a letter one day, and it turned out, long story short, the letter was from the Imperial Household Agency, the people that run the palace, and I was invited to that spring's Utagai Hajime. It's a classical poetry reading. They choose 10 poems each year, invite the poets to the palace, and a bunch of other people, 80 people are invited to come in as observers. The imperial family's there. It's an old classical ritual. It's been going on for whatever, someone could look it up. It's going on for like 600 or 700 years, I think, with no breaks. Or maybe they broke during the war. I don't remember the details. But it's going on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a curious point. Someone like me as a Westerner, we think about British literary traditions. And where does it come from? We've got like Shakespeare, and before that, what names do we know? I know Chaucer, Beowulf. And this is all like 500 or 600 years of tradition. And this poetry series, the earliest poems in the series are from 648 or 668 or some year like that. And the series spans 600 years, ending in the 1200s. And these poems are remembered still by a vast number of Japanese. Any educated person, certainly any educated woman, knows this poetry. Anyway, rambling again. So they have this poetry session once every spring in the palace, and it's an actual ritual event. And I was invited that year. I guess it was a thank you to me for spending 10 years helping preserve and protect and get involved with Japanese tanka poetry. And I'm still not answering the question. What was the question? I know, Dave, what was it like at the palace? It was very, very, very cool. Very cool. I know. It was good fun. I should qualify some of this. I got to be careful how something I say. If you had asked Dave when he was like 18 years old or 20 years old or something to have anything to do with the monarchy or things like this, I would have been an ardent royalist at that time. Get rid of the Queen, Britain and Canada shouldn't play with this Queen thing, and because it's not, I don't know what I would have argued as an 18-year-old boy. I don't know. I know. We're all equal and nobody should be special and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what I would have said. These days I'm more ambivalent, and I recognize that lady over there who is a queen and this guy here who's an emperor, they really clearly understand they are not gods. They're just normal people, trapped / allowed to be in that situation. And that these symbols can really have a big meaning for a lot of people, and I'm not so much of a down with, off with her head feeling that I would have had years ago. So the invitation came, and I recognized it for exactly what it was. People like this, an emperor, we have this stated idea. They are a head of state, they are a symbol of the people. And I took that at face value for what that is. Mr. and Mrs. Suzuki, as a Japanese, how do they speak to me? They don't. And this guy, as an emperor, speaks for the people, and by being invited to that ceremony, I accepted that. The Japanese nation was speaking to me and saying, okay, Dave, that's kind of cool what you did. Thanks very much, So I took it at that face value and went to the ceremony. And it was in, the palace. And it's not a palace in the Western sense of palaces, big marble and all that, whatever. It's extremely elegant, very understated, very low slung. It looks more like something Frank Lloyd Wright would have designed. Lots of cedar, glass, wood. So whatever, we go in, and the instructions, I know the invitation came with an instruction book, or a series of letters and explanations, what clothes I had to go and get. You had to wear, a tuxedo penguin suit, and what time to show up, and where to get your taxi from a special taxi rank that was arranged for this, and the taxi goes through the gates, and dun 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 dun. And it was all totally, perfectly, beautifully programmed. These people know what they're doing. A ceremony that runs for 800 years in a row or more. They know what they're doing. And we were all ushered into an anteroom, which was a big room where we're all just waiting for the thing to get started. And we're all sitting in chairs around this, trying to chat with the person who's next to you, and basic whatever. And there's 80 people each year invited to this thing. And some people are always on the list. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet and stuff like this, they're on the list. And then whatever, the president of something university and blah, blah, blah. These people are sort of always in. And then, I don't know the ratio, the last 40 or so are selected each year from, whatever, people that they thought would go to this thing. And we're in the anteroom, and then the guy says, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to call you one by one. You go down the hallway here, down the hallway there, just follow the people who are standing there showing you the way, and you will go into the poetry room, take your seat, and wait for the emperor, his family. So they start calling names, and it turns out that they're calling them in reverse age order. They start with the oldest person, He gets up, bows, heads for the exit there, starts his route down the hall towards the portrait room. And then they wait like 10, 15 seconds. They call the next name. That person heads for the exit, and away they go. So you got this chain of people, number 1 all the way down to number 80, this chain of people walking along these halls in a very slow, we're just walking step, take another step, take another step, geeking around at the stuff and following till we get to the portrait. And I was the third from the end. This was happening in like 1999, I guess. I would have been 40-something, 40, 47 or 48. I was third from the end. It turned out also that what I found out later was that I was the second foreigner in 600 years, or the second foreigner ever to be invited to this thing. And, oh, whatever, I could talk 6 hours about it. It was just such fun. Tell you what I did on my blog there, on my woodblock.com website, there's a blog called the Woodblock Round Table. And maybe, whatever, some listener here can do this for me so I don't have to interrupt the carving. I did a series of blog posts about it. So if you go to the Round Table blog, woodblock.com/roundtable, look for the table of contents section. It's in the sidebar at the right. And look through the table of contents under the category, what would it be? General interest. And you'll find a series of, I think it's 3 or 4 or 5 blog posts telling this story. What it was like inside the palace, what we did, the guy who fainted. It was a really, really interesting day. And no, I didn't meet the emperor. That wasn't the idea. He's not my buddy. I don't know him. I've never met him. I know when my parents found out about this happening, my parents were still, younger and healthier now. My dad's gone now. My mother's still alive. So when they heard about this, they got over here. So they stayed at my house with me for a while. And one of the rules about this ceremony, and it happens every year in February, the first week in February or the last week in January, I can't remember. First week in February, I think. And it's snow time in Tokyo. It's quite possible that it can snow. So the rules made it very clear. You will be at this ceremony through rain or sleet or snow or hail or, whatever the wording was. Please be there. And they have arranged, they haven't arranged accommodation. You have to pay for it yourself. But they've arranged a setup with the Imperial Hotel, which is just across the street from the palace, to have a number of rooms set aside for participants in this ceremony who live like a little bit not so close, meaning that if the trains aren't running in the morning, you're still going to be able to get to it. So me and my parents stayed in this hotel across the street. And that's also the same place where the costume rental, I can't say costume rental, whatever, the suit rental was. And it was, my mother hasn't stopped talking about it for like 25 years, I'm sure her neighbors, she's made herself a bit of a pest with her neighbors. My son's invited to the emperor and all this kind of stuff. You can imagine what a mother's going to do, Fair enough. Fair enough. Have we got some assistance with those links? Oh, look at this. Somebody's found it. Thank you very much. I think it's a 3 or 4 part. I'm not really sure. mic cord is in the way. I have to sort something out for that for the next session. Okay, horse's legs. What's next? Get up inside this horse. We're almost done here, you know. Look at that. What's left? A bit of the horse's body. One skull hiding there. This is some... Oh, it's the centaur, the human head on the horse. This is coming along very nicely. Come on, settle down. Lefty, lefty. There's one bone off that top sword that hasn't been carved. Is it going to be in the print? One bone off that top sword. You mean up here? Is that the area you're talking about? This is coming out. And in fact, just to show you what I'm going to do, this is going to cut out right now. And I'll just, again, we talked about this yesterday. This is it's a wider, let me zoom. Wrong way. Oops, too much shiny. We have a horseman surrounded by some skulls. And the original design by Kyosai, there's 20 skeletons here all around the place. It was just too much and too big to get involved with this series. So I've taken the larger image, erased all the stuff around it. And what you're seeing there, the sword going up. There was another guy with a skeleton behind it, another skull. So I've cut away the skeletons not involved. I've left the core, whatever there are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skeletons. So I've simply edited this and trimmed it and taken what I want and left the rest. So there's little bits and pieces you're going to see me chop away here that are not part of this core design, but that are part of... Oh, I can't get it back in focus. Is that okay? So I'm sorry about the confusion. I know what I should do, whatever. I'm not going to take a break and do it now, but later, when I'm done here, I'll find the original image, put it up somewhere on the website so I can link to it maybe in tomorrow's stream or something, so you can see the original that I'm working from and then what we've edited here. A number of the Kyosai images that have been in this year's yokai series, they didn't exist just as you see them in what we've done. We've edited and stolen from different sources and different places, and put them into the package, the format that we need. This is public domain work. Kyosai's been dead for 100 years, more, I guess. I don't know. Public domain here in Japan. It used to be death plus 50. Now it's death plus 70 to match Europe. And I have no hesitation whatsoever about adapting and editing these things. And we're doing it with respect. Although it's funny, actually, his granddaughter is alive. And this is funny. This is a different thing that happens in Japan compared to some other countries and some other cultures. Kyosai's granddaughter is alive. And there's a bit of a Kyosai boom and a bit of a yokai boom in the last few years. And she's got her finger in all this, and she's doing things like dictating what can be shown and what can't be shown and what should be said and what can't be said. And his life and work and everything is clearly, totally, absolutely in the public domain. And yet things like museum curators listen to her and allow her to dictate what can and can't be done with the guy's work. He's got a huge amount of shunga, explicit sexual material. She doesn't like it, so it doesn't get displayed. And to me that's bizarre, the fact that these institutions, major institutions, allow her to dictate to them what can and can't be done. But they do so because of cultural reasons. She's his granddaughter, and in their mind and in the cultural mood, that takes precedence over little details like law and public domain and what's legally permitted. One of my employees, Shiba-san, you've seen her and heard about her. She's, as we've talked about before, she's making her own prints. She's cutting and printing to develop her own skills. And she does two kinds. She does original prints of her own. And a few years back, she did a reproduction of a Kyosai painting as a woodblock print as part of her training. Nothing that I asked her to do, something she did on her own. In fact, we've got it in the shop here, we sell it. She was asked by Kyosai's granddaughter to stop this, to take it down, not to sell it. And I'm like, lady, what planet are you living on? And she's living on the planet of Japan, where the idea that she is his granddaughter trumps the other factors. So we have nothing to do with her. We ignore her completely. I'm doing this Kyosai series, and although there are people here who think I should have asked her if I should do this, of course, I didn't even remotely think of that. She's going to say, no, we're just going to get into uncomfortable situation. It's a bit of a bizarre culture sometimes. Well, bizarre meaning different from the one I grew up in, whatever. If that's the correct term to use, not, obviously. The copyright, the whole question of what is copyright and what isn't copyright is very, very different here in Japan. I think a lot of Asia too. Our American friends, Mr. Jed Henry and stuff, people like that, they have a real feeling of fair use, of being able to use somebody else's copyrighted material. I'm not speaking about Kyosai now, I'm speaking about the active copyrights. There's a thing called fair use for academic work, for research work, for whatever. Quote, fair use. There's no such thing in Japan. There's no fair use clauses in the copyright legislation. You leave it alone or you license it, one or the other. Get up in that little corner there. questions. Oh my God, there's a bajillion questions. Octopuses, yeah. So what have we got here? Do you do original works too, Dave? Well, certainly not anymore. No, I'm not. I'm not an artist, absolutely, in the sense that someone like Jed is, when he can sit down at a the classic example, sit down a piece of paper with a pencil, whatever, excuse me, and he can create something that didn't exist before. I'll put that in quotes, of course, based on human knowledge and human experience, his experience. He can make things appear that didn't appear before, and I don't have that kind of, whether it's skill and or training or whatever level you want to look at it. I don't have that. But over there on my website, there's a bunch of, quote, original prints I did for a 3-year period a while back. I made some original prints, and there was a reason for it. I'd done the Long 10 Poets series, nothing to do with my original art, working as a carver printer. I followed that with, the Surimono album series we've talked about before, a 5-year project for me to develop technical facility, carving and printing in many different styles. Then it was followed by whatever beauties of, different series. And I'm getting better and better and better all the way along at actually physically doing this job, the carving and the printing, because I was focusing so hard on those technical skills. And I've got to be a bit careful here, because I'm not quite sure what my mental frame of mind was, but there got to be a point where it wasn't that I know this all and I can do it all, but there got to a point where I was getting good at it, and what's next? Where am I going to go from here? How am I going to, it's a slow progression, steadily getting better, but there really was a clear feeling that the edge was not there, and that the challenge was not there, and I was making a good living, and people were saying how wonderful you are, but what's next? The clear challenge that had been in front of me, 10 or 15 years before this, oh my God, how am I going to get good at this? After you get, quote, good, unquote, at it, what do you do next, And I had my house was paid for, my kids had grown up and gone. And there was clearly something about, missing a bit of a challenge was there. So somehow the idea came up, and I don't specifically remember where the idea came up that, okay, what I should do is do some original prints. The point being, because I wasn't any good at it, because I couldn't do it, there we go, this puts the challenge back in, this puts you back on edge, and this, puts zest back into life and whatever. And I don't remember my exact thinking, but yeah, okay, let's do this. And I do remember the way I explained it, although I'm not an artist. It's words something like this. these prints, these woodblock prints, there's X% of the content, the beauty, and the reason we like them. X% is in the design, the content of the image. And also X% is inherently in the materials and technology. In other words, the beautiful washi paper, I use that word beautiful, the washi paper has an inherent beauty all by itself. The pigments pressed into the washi paper leave a beautiful effect. So it would be possible, and I argue this all the time, and I will still do this when I'm talking to people in the shop, that you could take craftsmen and blind them, put blindfolds on them, give them the materials in front of them, and let them hack away and do their thing just by feel. Have the printer work by feel, not being able to see what color he's putting on the board. And my thesis is the result will still be beautiful. Beautiful in quotes, because X% of the beauty of these prints is inherent in the materials. Jed may argue, he'll think, no, the reason people want these prints is because of my wonderful designs. And yeah, but whatever, we know there's more to it than that. They are more beautiful as woodblock prints than they would have been, than they are as Photoshop reproductions. So okay, anyway, long story short, again, what I thought to myself was, I'm not an artist, but I'm a very skilled worker with these materials and tools. So I can take something. I can use a camera to give me a guide to where to start. I can then use my knife. I can cut something. We're working landscape here. And I can produce prints because of my quite strong level of technical skill. I can produce prints that will be beautiful, interesting, and meaningful, even though the art content, the creative content might not be so high. You get what I'm getting at here, you know? So I took it on. I started a project. It was going to be 2 years. It turned out to be 3 years of making original designs. And my daughter heard this and she said, let's wrap David up because it's time to take him to the funny farm because it's all over. He's gone off his rocker. You know, he's gone off the deep end. And I said, like, thanks for the support. And she laughs and whatever. But she said, Dad, you can't draw. You can't draw. What are you going to do? And I explained to her the same story I've just explained to you. You know, I can make beautiful prints. Anything. You give me an empty piece of wood, a barn board, and a hammer, and let me work at it with my beautiful brushes and pigments, and I can make a beautiful print. So I did. Anyway, it's on the website, woodblock.com/solitudes. And 3 years and 12 prints. And are they great art? No. Are they interesting? I think so. Was it worth spending 3 years of my life on? Yeah, not from your point of view, but from my point of view it was. I spent 3 years on the edge, terrified. What the fuck am I going to do next month? Literally like that. Orders were low. It was hungry years. It was a good thing to do for someone who had been getting pretty much full of his own ass, you know. It was very, very useful. But after it was finished, I ran back home and made some more reproductions. Whoops, curse. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Sorry about that, really. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Whatever. Emphasis, I guess, you know. Maybe I'm in the right ballpark there. I know curse words or whatever, swear words or whatever. I know. When you're a little kid, we probably all go through the same thing. We first hear these words and we start throwing them around. You know, your mother says, "You do that one more time, I'll wash your mouth out with soap." You know, because we're trying to be big and cool, whatever. And then there's people that sort of use it all the time. And then sometimes, what's the deal? Emphasis, you know. I don't remember exactly what I said a minute ago. I'll listen to it later on the thing. But emphasis to try and show I really feel deeply about this thing, and I'm trying to emphasize to you how strong this point was. I guess, you know, I am not an artist, but there was something inside, some strong feeling that I had to break out and do something, whatever. So I guess something like that, popping a word in, a swear word, is some way to emphasize your feelings, I think. Anyway, sorry. This is a kneecap, I guess. What am I carving here? It's an upside down kneecap. It's hard to tell what these things are, you know. You hear all the breaking glass sound from outside. It's recycle day here, Thursday morning. We put all the cardboard out, the glass bottles, cans, and whatever. Went out this morning. Had to be out there before 8 o'clock. So. And then it's a race. It's a race between the homeless people who come and try and scavenge all that stuff, and the city hall trucks who come and pick it up. This is part of that background coming off, so don't panic that I'm cutting something away here. Protect these hairs here while I do this other bit. Really hard. You can see the dark color. This is a real chipper, place to chip the knife if I'm not careful. We still haven't had that yet in these streams. Going to happen any minute, maybe. We hear a pop. The tip of the blade will disappear. Got away with it that time. Where are we here? It's past 9 o'clock. We're okay still for a while. The homeless thing here, it's in flux, and it's going to be very difficult over the next few years because of the Olympics thing. This is really going to cause huge problems here. There's sort of a low level of homelessness that's here. You know, people you've seen along riverbanks and stuff. There's people camped in sort of blue tents, blue sheet type stuff, and they're here and there, here and there. There's an arcade behind my shop, a covered arcade of shops, and it's become a problem. It's of course protected from the rain, and every night there's no blue tents in there, but people bunk down with cardboard boxes and stuff. And the merchants are trying to be reasonable about not, hurting people. But it's become a bit of a problem. There's a lot of garbage left there many nights. A lot of the homeless people do. They clean up their garbage, take it with them, but there's other people that just drop their cardboard boxes and leave them. There's a toilet problem. And there's been sort of a stable situation. There haven't been too many people. The city offers hostels, but they're not in a reasonable, accessible location. There's lots and lots of factors. But what's really going to hit hard is the Olympics, because there's no way that Japanese can host an event like the Olympics and let the visitors see blue tent cities. So there are going to be, it could get messy. There could be like police sweeps to try and destroy these things. As we get closer to the Olympics, there's going to be attempts to create alternative accommodation for these people, but it'll be out in the country somewhere away from town, because Japan, the monolithic Japan, the government and stuff, will not want foreigners to see a single homeless person. So it's going to get messy. I don't know, maybe there's a similar situation in any city that puts on a public event like that. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know. What we don't see around here is panhandling. There's almost no panhandling. You get the impression that these people are homeless. They're whatever, they've got their pension maybe or whatever or something. I see no panhandling here. So they're getting support maybe from welfare agencies, or they're just people who have run away from home. They don't want to be. I don't know. Careful. It's going to be a sweaty day here. I can feel it. It's already starting to get sticky. We've had a few cool days. It's been really nice. And it seems summer is reminding us it's not over yet. So. Lots of people begging, he says. I don't see that here in Japan. Are you talking about somewhere else? I don't know. I'll read this later, whatever. not cooperating in this corner. The wood is a bit fibrous in some places. It doesn't slice cleanly. Don't get me started about complaining about the wood again, sorry. Got it. Protect this beard, do that later. Must be getting close to time for the staff to come, I think. Pulling around 9:30. Who's here? Today it'll be Teiko-san, the young girl born in America. She's doing a really wonderful job on the print parties. People really like her. We get, most people who, whatever, they have a print party, they leave, they go away, thank you very much, goodbye, goodbye, they're okay. But we get letters, sometimes people write back, and it's nearly always the people who've had party with Teiko-san that write letters. Oh, I had so much fun, she did a really good job, thank you, thank you. She's the duty person today and tomorrow. And then with her is one of the new ones, Hosono-san, one of the new staff. We call them the Patreon staff. I shouldn't do that, I guess. Whatever. Because they're going to be, up and on their own. And she's training. She's good. She's coming along well. She speaks English very well. When she was a kid, her dad was posted to Hawaii for a while, like 10 years. He worked for, this is interesting, her dad. He used to work for a Kirin beer company. Posted to Hawaii as like a salesman or a sales rep. I mean, give me a break. A Japanese salaryman posted to Hawaii for 10 years. And what's your job? You got to sell beer. And I guess the guy must have felt he died and gone to heaven, you know, whatever. And she kept her English. She learned her English in Hawaii, and then she kept it when she came back to Japan, which is unusual. A lot of Japanese kids who grow up overseas lose their English, or they're afraid of getting ragged at school or something because they're too good at something. But she kept it, so it's good. An actual telephone call, excuse me, from the Ome workshop. Can I do this while I'm online? Ohayo gozaimasu. Good morning. Hello. Hi. そう、大丈夫です。ありがとうございました。はい、そう。波よるしかないですが、申し訳ない。ちょっと一つありますね。ハンガークラブ一つ。今、30分前ぐらいに入りました。今、私ちょっと放送中ですが、今生放送ですが、そう。あと10分、今そうですね、あと10分ぐらい。もうちょっと待っててください。注文送りますから。だからあと9時半までですね。そう。大丈夫ですか？で、あと5分ぐらい待っててください。そう。OK。で、今日、単品一つと、なんていうの、ポートレートとか請求書あるかもしれないですが、まだ見てないんですから。もうちょっと待ってください。はい、どうも。はい。The Ome workshop. She's early today. They usually get there around 9:30, and she's saying, "Where's my work today?" I haven't sent it through to her. The orders that came in during the night have to be punched into the system. Well, they go into the system automatically, but I've got to approve them and make sure there's no mistakes and see if they're okay and stuff like that. So she's waiting for me to run that stuff through. Come next month, October, I don't know what you know about this. Because of the Patreon campaign, we've hired 3 people, 2 shop staff, one of which I just mentioned. And there's also a young man coming, quote unquote manager. I mean, he'll be doing a lot of the office-y type stuff that I've been doing. He'll also be taking on a lot of the organizational things and controlling how other people do their work and stuff like that. He starts October 10th. We couldn't get him to start earlier. We booked him a couple of months ago, but he had, a job that he couldn't get out of for a while. So he starts October 1st. And, it's not going to change my life that day because he's going to have to ramp up. But over the coming couple of months after that, just day by day for me, it'll be less time at the computer, not bookkeeping, but book work and emails and stuff like that. And more time in 2 places, at this carving bench and at the video editing table. So over the next few months, we'll see those changes, assuming he works out. He's probably listening, actually. I should be careful. It's okay. He knows we talked about the job, and I'm sure he can do it, and we'll see. But yeah, given that it is now 9:26, the staff should be coming up the stairs any moment now, and I've got to get the work ready for the Ome people. If I don't get that done, they're just sitting there waiting for me to get this out to them. So just to recap here, it's the yokai print for December. The empty space next to it is going to be filled with Jed's design, which we received last night. It's something he calls Photo Bomb. It's going to be a good close off to the series. Okay, the schedule. It's Thursday morning here. If the shop is not too busy this afternoon, let me switch to the main camera. If the shop